In this beautiful forest in the Netherlands, near the small town of Apeldoorn, is a paradise for primates, both small and large. Apenheul is utterly unique, and it quickly became one of my favourite zoos that I've ever visited. You are right in with the monkeys, it is utterly unique. Let's check it out. Apenheul began in 1971 when a photographer from Rotterdam bought 2 little monkeys in a pet shop and decided to start a zoo with a difference. There'd be no cages, no bars, just free-roaming monkeys in the middle of a forest. And within 30 seconds of your arrival at the zoo, you were in the first South American area and surrounded by a troop of adorable squirrel monkeys. Unlike the majority of the monkeys here at Apenheul, they have an entire patch of forest to themselves. There's no visible barriers or anything like that, and we are literally walking right through their habitat. There's a mother with a little baby on her back here. And apart from the experience of just being in their habitat, you'll see so many more natural behaviours in the primates here than you will in a lot of zoos. It's an amazing experience. After the spider monkeys, we're going to head into the rest of this South American area with the Guianan bearded Saki, a really unique looking monkey. These habitats are slightly more traditional in that you're not actually in with the monkeys, but they're still designed in such a way that the monkeys have a huge amount of space, and as a visitor you can't see any barriers or anything in the way of them. Next up is the woolly monkey. These monkeys live high up in the trees, and you can see them doing exactly that here. It really does feel like you are in the Amazon, just with deciduous trees instead of tropical trees. What I said earlier about the natural behaviour of the monkeys really comes into its own in this habitat. I spent so long watching this woolly monkey going about their day. Just watch this one sliding down their rope. The size of the trees in this ancient forest works perfectly for them, and then they've been provided with ropes that connect them all together so they can spend their lives up in the trees and on their platforms rather than down on the ground, which in their natural habitat is where the jaguar and caiman are, and you don't want to be down there if you're a monkey. Past the woolly monkey is another section of the forest where the monkeys can go right over you, including this white-faced Saki monkey. They have a rope bridge over the top of the path. This is a female. There she goes. They're so swift. They have a group of the Saki monkeys here. You'll see a male in a minute with the white face that gives them their name. And there's also a little indoor section, which you view through glass, where you can see the Saki monkeys when they're indoors. Here's the male. And it's not just them in here. There's the adorable little silvery Marmosets with their beautiful white fur. Apenheul is part of the European Population Management Programme for these tiny Marmosets to ensure a healthy population of them survives in captivity. I also got a quick glimpse of the endangered golden-headed lion tamarin, and then it's on to the next part of the forest for the red titty monkey. Again, way up in the trees, having a munch on some leaves. It's so good to see the monkeys have this much freedom. If we zoom out, you can see just how much space that these two have. It's amazing. Time to leave South America now. We're on our way to our next major area in the zoo, Madagascar. But before we get there, we have some much larger primates to see, the bonobo. This might be the coolest entrance to a habitat I've ever seen, and we get a little preview of Madagascar first because the lemurs are absolutely everywhere around this forest. We've got a black and white rough lemur up here. Let's head on into the bonobos. This is the viewing platform for them, and we've got a little group of ring-tailed lemurs up here, taking in the view. They're so common in zoos, but you never tire of seeing them. They're so personable and so kind of dopey looking. We always think of primates as intelligent, but ring-tailed lemurs, yeah, not so much. But they do love to sunbathe, and you can see them all around the viewing gallery here, taking in the sun in their little yoga poses. But that's enough lemurs, because if we take a look from the edge of the viewing platform, we can see the bonobos. These fascinating great apes are closely related to chimpanzees and very closely related to us. In fact, we share 98.6% of our DNA with the bonobo. They come from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Apenheul is part of the European Population Management Programme for them. They have 2 breeding groups of them here who share this big enclosure, with each group spending half their time indoors and half their time out here. It's another big habitat here. They've got loads of climbing, trees and ropes. You can see one of them negotiating the habitat using the ropes here. For obvious reasons, we're not in with the bonobos, but while we watch them, we are stood right next to the ring-tailed lemurs. I feel like we're almost part of their troop here. I caught a juvenile in their indoor area a bit later on as well. But it's time now to head to Madagascar. Madagascar begins appropriately enough with a baobab tree and a selection of models of the megafauna that used to live there before, well, we wiped them all out. But if you keep a close eye on the trees, you'll soon see more lemurs. They have no less than 8 different species of lemur here. This is the red ruffed lemur, one of the largest species of lemur. As we continue down, this wooden path next to a lake. We get deeper into their area of the forest. You can see some more rope bridges for them to climb on up above, plus of course all the trees that they have access to. It's so natural in here. Let's take a closer look at the red ruff lemurs. This one is particularly noisy, and they are all around here. I caught one up on the roofs of one of their indoor houses, and then getting onto one of their rope ladders. And there's more black and white lemurs here as well. This one is coming for one of their suspended feeders. This beautiful species of lemur is critically endangered now due to deforestation in their native Madagascar. And Apenheul is involved in education programs in Madagascar, teaching local people the value of the animals that they have there, and paying for local children to visit the rainforests to see the lemurs for themselves, in the hope of engendering support for them in future. And next up is another species, the red-bellied lemur. These guys are absolutely adorable. Just look at that little face. There's a big difference between the colourings of the males and the females, as you can see here. This is a male, you can tell by the white patches on the face, scrubbing around on the floor, looking for food, and successfully finding some. This section of the forest also holds crowned lemurs, though I didn't see any of them today. Watching this little guy munching up his food more than made up for it. And of course, there's more of the ring-tailed lemurs as well. And then in a separate little section at the back, in more traditional enclosures, is the rarely seen blue-eyed black lemur. An absolutely stunning animal. This is the first time I've ever seen one of these. And next to them, some very cute little fluff balls, the Lac Alawatra bamboo lemur. Another contender for the cutest of the lemurs. They share this habitat with the incredibly dopey looking, but wonderful to see nonetheless, crowned Sifaka. These unique animals are another critically endangered species, and Apenheul was the first zoo in the Netherlands to successfully breed them, and they're a big part of the European breeding program to try and save this species. And whilst we take a last look at the adorable little bamboo lemurs, it's time to move into Asia. The first primates that we'll see here are the orangutans. They live on a series of islands, one of the most traditional ape habitats in this zoo. There's loads of different viewing options into these habitats. We've got a raised bridge to get you closer to the climbing level of the orangs. And then at the end of the path, a large indoor space as well that's very tall to facilitate climbing. It's the Bonobo orangs that they have here. I've got to say, this building is probably my least favourite part of Apenheul. I think it's perfectly good for the orangs. There's loads of vertical space, so much climbing. They're members, again, of the European breeding program. I'm sure this is a great space for the orangs, but just from a human perspective, it just wasn't that attractive to look at. Outside, things are very different. They look absolutely amazing out here. Caught these two cuddling. And with all the different viewing areas for the guests, you're always assured a good angle to see the orangs here. Next to them is a really, really rarely seen primate, the Javanese langur. These fascinating monkeys have their own little island, connected by a bridge, which enables them, when open, to go onto the orang's island. Sadly, they were nowhere to be seen at either spot. Next up in the Asian area is another monkey island, this time for the lion-tailed macaque. We've seen these in a few zoos now. They are so striking. And this is definitely one of the best habitats that I've seen for them. As sizable as you would come to expect from this zoo now, and absolutely packed with climbing for them. Lovely to see them in here. This one is particularly impressive, shaking its mane around. We're going to move on to the final habitat in the Asian section, which is something really special. This is a walkthrough for the Barbary macaque. I've never been in a macaque walkthrough before, and it's an amazing experience. These ones live in the Atlas Mountains on the border of Morocco and Algeria, so you're equally as likely to see them in the snow as you are in the heat. They live in large social groups, as do most primates, and you can get the full range of their behaviours here. These two messing around with this tree branch kept me entertained for a very long time. As they did themselves, they seem to be having all sorts of fun. And we're going to leave them now and move into the African section in the centre of the zoo where the gorillas live. But before we get to them, we have some gibbons to see. Northern white-cheeked gibbons to be precise. And again, just another big habitat, loads of tall trees, loads of ropes for them to climb and swing on. You can see them brachiating all around this habitat, coming down to see if they can sniff out any food. One of the keepers is going to throw some food out to them now, and we'll be able to see the incredible dexterity that they display when they do this and just catch it. I can't even tell you how far away that was thrown from. Always great to check out feeding time at the zoo. Our next monkey is actually another Asian species. It's Hanuman's langur, and they have babies. Look at these two in their little nesting box, annoying their parents by clambering all over them. This is one of those habitats that feels like a walkthrough because, well, you walk through it, but there's mesh on either side of the paths, so you're not actually in with the monkeys like you are with some of the others. But let's carry on and make our way to the centerpiece of the zoo, the enormous habitat for the western lowland gorilla. According to Apenheul, this is the largest gorilla island in the world, and having walked all the way around it, I can well believe it. We're looking at it here from the guest seating where they have the feeding presentations, and the group are all gathered to receive the food. Look at this little baby here. The keepers will throw and scatter food all over the island so the gorillas can go and find it. And it's not just gorillas that live here, they share the island with Lahost's monkey as well. This one's come down to grab its own food. Both these species live in the tropical jungles of Central Africa, which is why they're housed together here. It's amazing to see the females walking around with the babies on their back, foraging for food at the edge of the island. It's such a peaceful scene. In the center of the group sits the big silverback, having his own food, and the whole island is surrounded by different viewpoints. So wherever the gorillas happen to be, and they're not always all sat together, you can get a good view of them. Here's the silverback again with one of the younger gorillas. All right, let's leave the gorillas and move on to the next African animal, the red-capped Mangabey. This beautiful African monkey first came to Apenheul in 2016. They started with 4 of them, and now they have a much larger group as part of the European breeding program. We're going to move now into the second South American area at Apenheul, which is absolutely incredible. It's possibly my favorite place in the zoo. A massive Amazonian-themed walkthrough where you are right in amongst the red howler monkeys and other Amazonian species. You can just see one of the red howlers way over there, so let's take a closer look at them. There we go. I'm lucky enough to have actually seen red howlers in the wild in the Amazon, and I've got to say this is definitely the closest experience I've had to that. And helpfully the trees in the Netherlands are nowhere near as tall as the ones in the Amazon, which means the monkeys are a lot closer to you. I really like how their feeders are suspended from the actual trees, so you get really natural sights like this as they're feeding. And as well as walking around the forest floor, you can go up into suspended bridges yourself to get you closer to the monkeys. They actually have 2 species of howler here, the red and the black. Didn't see any of the black howlers today, but the views I got of the red howlers more than made up for that. When these guys give the call that gives them their name, it is honestly one of the spookiest sounds I've ever heard in my life. It's like a giant dragon somewhere in the jungle. They also have emperor tamarins here. We will try and find those in a minute. But in the center of the forest is a night house. Always a struggle filming in night houses, but I managed to get a few shots. Firstly, of the grey-legged night monkey. It's a super cute little nocturnal monkey. And in the nest box that they're stood next to, a 2-toed sloth, one of the very few non-primate species at Apenheul. And as she came out of her box, I realized that she has a little baby on her chest, which is absolutely adorable, and another sign of the many breeding successes that they have here at the zoo. Back outside, it's time to find the emperor tamarins. And here they are, the bearded emperor tamarin to be precise. They are absolutely adorable. One of the cutest monkeys in the world for me. There's a couple of them here playing around on their bamboo. They are free roaming, just like the red howler monkeys, and they are perfectly happy to sit right next to you. No need for a zoom lens when you're this close to them. These little monkeys were only discovered in 1907, and they're named after Emperor Wilhelm II of Germany. This one's about to take his leave of us, so we'll move on down the path and over a bridge above something I wasn't expecting to see, an artificial river full of sturgeon. They have 2 different species of these enormous freshwater fish here, the diamond sturgeon and the Siberian sturgeon. Around the corner, on another island with raised walkways all around, the golden-bellied capuchin. These fluffy South American monkeys are pretty common in European zoos, but almost unheard of outside of Europe for some reason. And I really like the habitat design here. It's another monkey island, but this time there are ropes extending out across the water to get them much closer to you as a guest. It's really nicely planted, and then there's loads of really tall climbing branches and trees for them as well, so you always get a good view. And then away in the distance, as we've seen throughout this zoo, you can see a spider monkey right up in the tree there. This is a Colombian spider monkey, and it's views like this that really do make you feel like you're just in a forest full of monkeys rather than in a zoo. This is the rest of their habitat. Got a large group of them here, and whether the spider monkeys are down on the ground sharing their food, or up in the trees and exploring their climbing, they're a lot of fun to watch. This is actually a mixed exhibit as well. There's also one of the few non-primates living in this habitat, some capybara. They add a nice extra South American flavour to this habitat. We're on to the penultimate habitat at Apenheul now. We're about to go to the final habitat where there's a monkey so rare I'd never even heard of it before I arrived. But before that, we've got an animal I cannot believe we've never seen on the channel before, the Colombian white-faced capuchin, one of the most easily recognisable monkeys in the world. I really like the suspended feeder, allowing them to display some of their natural behaviours. And if you've got kids with you, they can display some of their natural behaviours in the many monkey-themed playgrounds around the zoo. Let's head into the final habitat. This gorgeously designed walkthrough exhibit contains two species, the king colobus and the impossibly cute and very rare northern Talapoin. These are one of the smallest monkeys in Africa, and they live in swamps in Gabon, Cameroon, Angola, and the Congo. They're very comfortable in water, and they sometimes sleep on branches hanging over the water so they can use that as an escape route if anything tries to eat them. They live in large groups, and they have a large group here with lots of adorable little juveniles and babies as well. And as we've seen with so many species here, Apenheul is part of the European Population Management Programme for them. We didn't see any of the king colobus while we were in here today, but to be honest, when you're surrounded by these little guys, that is not the end of the world. That is, however, the end of Apenheul. It is definitely one of my favourite zoos that we've ever visited on the channel. A completely unique experience. I can't recommend it highly enough. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps the channel out. And if you want to see some more amazing zoos, there's two on screen now. Thanks for watching. Bye.